Welcome to Honest Conversations, a Folktales mini-series exploring all things mental well-being as part of the 2021 Mental Health Awareness Week. This year's theme is nature, and at Boatfolk we're firm believers in the power of the water to help soothe the soul. Each day this week we'll be speaking to a member of the Boatfolk community who will share their first-hand experiences of grappling with their own mental health. We hope you enjoy listening.
Good afternoon, Boatfolk. It's Bea from Portland again. Today I'm with Matt Broxton and Tom Taylor from Frontline Coffee. A local business started in 2018 but evolved from encouraging fellow firefighters to talk about their struggles with post-traumatic stress disorders, and so just turning up at their local stations for a cuppa and a chat to talk about any things they might be struggling with. Is that right, chaps? Welcome.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it stemmed from the emergency services. A cup of tea or a coffee is quite a big thing as part of the emergency services. If you go out on a job, the first thing you do when you come back is sit and have a cup of tea. And traditionally, coffee on fire stations is pretty poor. So we thought, let's improve that. To give people better coffee and encourage them to sit around and have a chat and be a bit more open about their struggles with jobs and their own sort of mental well-being.
Excellent. Okay, and so this was started by you guys in 2018, or was it something that was more a hub that was started as a whole?
No, we started fresh in 2018, so it was something we just came up with, kind of led with.
Excellent. And so from there, where did the coffee roasting and coffee shop come? So you've grown a bit of an empire since 2018.
Yeah, it's kind of not run away with this, but it does keep going from strength to strength, which is great. I think hit a nerve with a lot of people when we started. I mean, most people love coffee, but everyone loves a hot drink. And everyone loves supporting charities, so we kind of brought to market this unique way where you could sit down and still enjoy your premium coffee, but also know that you're doing good by giving back to the charities and support Frontline. We started off just trying to raise money for the firefighters charity and to encourage people to talk and connect. That kind of blew up, and we decided to take on more charities and more Frontline services. Because it's not isolation and fire services, there's so many different frontline services like the RNLI,
emergency services or frontline services. That's where the name came from.
So
across the board.
We added a load more charities. We partnered up with a load more charities to release a load more coffee, and it kind of went from there and grew.
Amazing. And I think a lot of people think of this is how I certainly thought about PTSD or post-traumatic stress syndrome, and we'll get it out in one piece at some point. You know, you think about it as something that affects military personnel potentially more, but obviously it's something that can affect anybody in any area of society.
Absolutely, can't you? I think people always assume, it's going to be military people that do end up in that situation, but, emergency service people across the board, they go to incidents every day and come home every day, and they take that home with them.
Yeah. Was there any particular event that sparked the start of it, or was it something that you just sort of thought would be useful for the services?
It was just a generic phone call, wasn't it? Talking about experiences, and I think it just kind of came up as a good idea to take forward.
Yeah.
Fantastic. And I guess it's something that, as you say, it's gone from strength to strength, and it's pretty much nationwide now, or is it something that's more local?
Online is, yes. Yeah, the online coffee beans, we send them all over the country, but down here on Portland, this is our first physical hub.
How was it? Yeah.
First time.
Amazing. And it's growing and growing. So you launched the coffee shop, which opened during the second lockdown, if I recall.
Yes.
What a time to open a coffee shop.
The best time.
Yeah, a lot of business experts will probably look at us and think we're absolutely crazy, but because we're not solely a business chasing profit margins and chasing stuff like that, things are very, very different in the way we work. So we're very community-focused, very community-based. So when we opened up, the people in Portland were absolutely amazing. The community really got together and supported us. So we were blown away when we opened. We were busy from the start, and that's continued to grow, even coming out of lockdown now. And that's credit to the community and support of the
Frontline services being in the spotlight now as well, of course, brought a lot of attention to our company as well. So that really helped, in the position we were in when we decided to go for it.
Amazing. And so you had the coffee shop to start off with, that opened obviously last autumn, and then you've just opened the coffee hydrant. Yeah. So, and that's takeaway coffees and crepes and
ice cream.
Ice cream,
yeah.
Nice. And you had a bit of an unfortunate event not that long ago.
It was 3 days. I think it got broken into.
Yeah.
That must have been pretty disappointing.
It was, but it's just one of those, it depends how you look at the situation.
Yeah.
We flipped on our head and used it as a unique opportunity to actually improve what we had. So we stayed closed for a few days, got it sorted, and now we came back stronger and very different. We've changed our plan. At first, we were kind of doing an extension of the coffee shop, which actually doesn't really make sense.
We realised we're becoming our own competition, so it was like...
So we changed the way we do things a bit, and now it's more catered to the tourism market,
desserts,
people using the beach and stuff. So.
Nice, yeah. Go for a paddleboard on the harbour, come back into Castle Beach, sorry.
It's mainly swimmers. We get plenty of swimmers down there, kayakers, and it's a different sort of crowd which we cater for now.
Perfect. And I noticed yesterday when I popped in that there was a big red shiny fire truck.
Yes.
Vintage fire truck.
So that's actually Weymouth's original fire engine, that is.
No way.
1963, yeah.
That's
its
amazing.
home is now Frontline Coffee. So.
Yeah.
Amazing. And are you going to turn that into? Is it going to be sort of like a more of a conversational piece, or are you going to?
We're playing with ideas at the moment, but we're definitely thinking. We want to get it back out into the community again, but also weddings.
Oh, fantastic.
We're a great wedding piece, and potentially a gin and prosecco bar.
I was going to say that makes it perfect. Gin and prosecco.
So we're thinking the prosecco hydrant goes with the coffee.
Any event you can go to, if you want to take it along to, and just
love it. Oh, let us know when that's up and running. I'm sure we can use that as for the events down the road over the summer. That'd be amazing. So just going back to sort of the connection, or sort of connect theme. Obviously you said that the local community have been really, really supportive in whilst you've been opening the coffee shop and what have you, and hopefully with the coffee itself as well. Was the coffee shop born out of a desire to connect to more people in the local community? So
accidentally.
Yeah, we never planned for the coffee to be the connection or the hub. The coffee beans, like in the shop on a cup of coffee, it was always the building, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So the building was the plan to be the hub. And then everything was going to kind of come off it, but it turns out the coffee made such a big impact for people to come to our shop. Yeah. It's kind of gone down that path, which is why now we want to create like just nice areas to sit a little bit, especially for people on shift. They can come and have a relax and have like a nice quiet lunch break instead of going into a busy shop. And
I think the coffee shop is very different to the business we sort of set out.
Envisaged, which
is always the case. You work around what the community were asking for and want. But we wanted to have a safe space for people to come and chat and meet, and that quickly led to a coffee shop because we're a coffee company, and that just keeps growing. But and we will adapt and change, I'm sure. But the hub and the frontline service has always been the forefront.
And you support through the sale of the coffee, both at the coffee shop and the beans, or is it mainly just the beans for the?
So it's always the beans. Yes, it's always the beans. So obviously that goes to various charities, doesn't it?
Yeah. But as long as it's Frontline Coffee beans, you know that every penny of that is going to emergency service charities. So that's why we're trying to push out our coffee to more coffee shops, more people selling. Yeah. As long as they're roasting with those beans, it means that money is still supporting them. So other places can still roast quality or sell quality coffee beans and still support charities, but with keeping their normal function, which is kind of a unique way from a wholesale perspective that other people can do sort of help out as well.
Okay, so other people can then also wholesale buy the beans and sell them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, there was just before, was it the second lockdown, we did have a couple of shops that were using our coffee.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I think they would have been quiet. Obviously, but it's a great avenue for them to reach out to their community as well using our coffee.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I noticed on the website you've raised over £20,000 for the frontline services.
Yeah, just over 23,000 it is.
So was it I've got the firefighters charity, the Hyde Foundation. I've not heard of them.
It's a really great foundation actually set up, unfortunately, through suicide of a nurse. I think she was a military nurse.
She was named
Hyde, Okay. So her family set up this great foundation which basically supports the mental health of nurses, but also sort of emergency services as well. So
they've made a massive impact in the NHS, and they are trying to branch out to be able to support anyone sort of, on that frontline services.
They'll be bigger on the scene soon as well. They continue to grow and really help people. So I think that'll be sort of a really well-known charity soon, which is really cool.
Okay, I can keep an eye out for.
Yeah,
because I must admit, it must be one of those things that in the NHS maybe that is has been less apparent, but is becoming more and more apparent.
I think at the moment it's going to be key. Yeah,
a lot of people are suffering, aren't they? Really, really struggling. And Laura Hyde is sort of the biggest one that I know.
I think the biggest thing there for them. When everything slows down, I think that's when services are going to be called upon more.
Yeah, it's going to be. There's going to be a lot of reflection, I think, once we get back to it. And also I think people are struggling to get back into a normal life again.
Yeah.
It's hard enough, you know, you go home and having, I don't know, wearing a mask and making sure you're staying away from people, and then you walk to the front door and, I don't know, my partner comes up to me and I'm like, whoa, 2 metres. Oh, hang on, you're safe.
It'll be strange next month with all these
Getting
you know,
you're allowed
standing at a bar, you know, really weird, yeah.
I can imagine there's probably quite a lot of people who are quite wary of that, because for them, they weren't a fan of crowds, or they found it difficult to cope with being in a crowd previously, and then having been isolated from people. Please excuse my ability to talk today. Okay, how important do you feel that having that connection to local community is for people? I mean, isolation and loneliness is something that's often associated with older people, but I think it's probably something, especially with what's going on in the world at the moment, is something that's becoming more of an issue in younger generations.
It's a big thing that we make a conscious effort to do, is to talk to everyone when they come in. I think you'll realise there will be people that will stay for a bit longer to have a chat, and you know, whether that's a direct consequence of that or whether, you know, it just could be a friendly person. But I think having that avenue with the hub of just being an open place to come and talk is a really big effort that we're trying to push forward.
Yeah, and certainly when you come into the shop, we always have a nice conversation in the chat. And
it's really important for us, I think. It comes back to that whole community aspect, and you know, people often bump into other people and have a chat and stuff, and I think certainly at the height of the lockdowns, that was very important for a lot of people. Like you said, it's not just the elderly, that was everyone across the board.
Yeah.
Especially if you were self-isolated, shielding, didn't see real people for
a long time.
Weeks. You even had a period where you went a few weeks without seeing
3
anyone.
weeks or something.
You just think that's absolutely crazy in this day and age to not see another human for that many.
But I wasn't shielding, I still just did it. Bumping into people.
It's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, no, this whole pandemic has been incredibly difficult for so many people. But do you know what? I think the most important thing is that what we're really hoping to do with these podcasts are that they're going to spark some conversations around the fact that mental health isn't something that can be just brushed under the carpet.
Yeah.
And it's really, really important to talk about it and not stigmatise it.
Yeah, I think for me, what I try and speak to people about with mental health is try and relate it to any other sort of medical issue that you may have. Everyone has mental health as such, as in they have health of their mind, and it's at what stage and how well you're looking after that. So, like I've said to so many people before, if you start getting a niggly ankle and you kept like running and stuff, eventually it's going to get worse, but you probably just go to see a physio. If you start having issues with your mental health, whether it's just isolation up to some severe mental health issues, you can go and get help for that, like you would with a physio and a dodgy ankle. And I think that, for me, is what I've been trying to communicate to people, is mental health is that thing, and you can just go and seek treatment and specialist help like any other issues that you have with your body. It's part of it. And for me, connections also helps with that, because I think you need that reassurance that your friends and family are fully behind what you're going to do and talking about it.
Yeah, absolutely. And not hiding it from
absolutely. Like a limp, you wouldn't go, if someone said, I've got a really bad ankle, that's why I'm limping, you wouldn't hesitate. It's not a secret that you've got a bad ankle. So.
I mean, do you think that the biggest thing stopping a lot of people talking about it is because sometimes, or a lot of the time, there's nothing physical to be seen?
Yes.
So you can't always
not necessarily. I think there's just a certain amount of stigma.
Yeah, and they don't deem their level of their level of struggling as important as other people. So if so this is quite big in the fire service. You can only the old people on the station and stuff would only deem that you've
not just old people. People have been there for a while.
People have been in the fire service a long time would deem that if you've only been in, say you joined and then the next day you had a horrific incident and you got PTSD from that, they'd say, you've only been in the fire service 5 minutes, you can't do that. And that's a real bugbear of mine. I think anyone, like you said before, anyone can have PTSD regardless of how long you've done
something.
Could
be your first day there, it doesn't matter.
And that's, I think, so it's how people will be perceived about having mental health issues. Like, I'm absolutely fine, I'm a normal person, but I'm struggling with my mental health. And I think that's, for me, a boundary that people will come against, I think.
Yeah, absolutely agree. It doesn't matter how old you are, what sort of area of society you come from, what you're doing in your life, it can happen. And that's been, certainly with researching some of the topics during the podcast this week, it's been really, really interesting and an eye-opener for me to learn a bit more about it as well. Yeah,
it's not just 30 war veterans that suffer from PTSD, it's anyone it's a post-traumatic incident, which can be anything. That's sort of relative to you.
It happens to somebody on their way to work.
Yeah,
and it's relative, as you said, to each individual person as well. What somebody perceives to be a trauma, or how you personally deal with a traumatic experience.
Yeah, how your mind processes that. It's just a thing. It doesn't matter. There's no sort of stigma attached. Well, there shouldn't be any stigma attached to who deems it more appropriate to have mental health issues. For me,
PTSD itself, I mean, it can manifest in several ways, can't it? In terms of it can be a vivid sort of flashbacks and reliving panic attacks, that sort of thing. So I mean, that's quite a disruptive element to happen in your life, and it can also kick in immediately, but also several years down the line.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's something I wouldn't I'd lie if I said I know a lot about it, but yeah, no, certainly you can literally have PTSD about an event that happened years ago, and all of a sudden you start struggling to sort of...
I think that's the big difference with emergency services, is that trigger can be something like you're having a shower after an incident and you wash blood out of your hair.
Right.
And then that trigger could be the shower that you was in, at home.
Of course, and
so
that's a safe place then that's then made not unsafe, I guess.
So you take your day home with you, so that the trigger could be anything, or even just getting on a train.
Or a build-up events, can't it? You could have a load of horrible drops, and later on just have one really minor incident, which then triggers back to these other things. So it's, again, really important. Just because that was a nothing job doesn't mean that you don't suffer from the same issues that you may have previously seen. So it's a really good topic, actually.
Yeah. And it sounds like there's a lot more to it than a lot of people think.
For sure, yeah.
Amazing. Well, you guys are doing fantastic work with the coffee and with the charity connections as well. So people know how they can get in contact with you. You've got a website.
We do, www.frontlinecoffee.co.uk.
And people can also connect with you on social media. So you're Frontline Coffee on Facebook.
Yes. Or Frontline Coffee Shop. We do have a second one, but it still comes to us. So
okay, so it ends up
talk to us, place. Or the easiest way, just pop in and see us.
Absolutely. Pop in for a chat and a chat. Pop in for a chat and a cuppa. Oh dear.
It's been a long day.
Yes, indeed. And I guess you guys aren't done yet either.
No, absolutely not. We're never done.
The lights are always on.
Absolutely, literally.
So what's next for Frontline Coffee? Dare I ask?
There's a lot in the pipeline. Yeah.
I think for us at the moment, we're trying to solid our foundation, aren't we? That's one thing we're trying to do. I think getting the fire engine into play, that's a big thing for us.
We've got a few charities coming on board. Shout charity, which is the new tech service for mental health. It's like a modern Samaritans kind of thing. When people don't necessarily want to pick up the phone and talk, you can WhatsApp text or
someone's always ready to reply.
There's loads of great volunteers, highly trained, that will reply to you, have a chat with you, and then they can signpost you to specialist help if you need it. So I think they're an absolutely amazing charity. So we're partnering up with them. So there'll be a coffee to support that.
Air Ambulances UK.
Air Ambulance UK, again, with the amount of times I've personally seen Air Ambulance on jobs and stuff, they are absolutely incredible. Can't rate them enough, the professionalism and stuff. So we really want to support them. So we're getting a coffee for them. I think that's it for now.
At the moment, we always have, the charities are now starting to reach out to us to ask us, can we partner up, and what can we do together?
So we want to expand our reach for the charities. We want to do more with the community as much as we can, but that's obviously going to be all COVID dependent. So as soon as we're allowed to start doing stuff, we want to be really heavily involved with the community locally, especially with the fire engine, which will be pretty exciting. And any other opportunities that may arise where we can, get involved.
Take it.
Yeah, absolutely. So when people buy the individual coffee beans, they can specify a charity that they want to buy a coffee for.
Yes.
Or they can buy a generic Frontline Coffee, which is then split across the charities.
Yeah, basically. So anything that's left over. So if you buy that charity, there's a set donation, a minimum that goes to them, and anything else would go to them as well. And then the rest of the pot is like a big pot that we can utilise for either to donate to the charities if we've got money left, or we try and look after specific projects. So, if people are running the marathon, we can do that. If there's a rescue team that are fundraising for something, we can support that. All sorts of projects, whatever we can do, really. Wherever we can help, we'll try and help. So.
Amazing. And the coffee is fantastic. I just like to put that out there.
Good.
So, did you know anything about coffee roasting before you started this project? Or?
I did, not necessarily the roasting aspect, but
knew a bit about
more the coffee. Yeah. But we've had a lot of help and guidance through the roasting process and the selecting of the beans. The blending, we've got the single origins, we've also got blends, so we're working out what's best, what fits the market. Just because we like it doesn't mean they'll like it. But yeah, we know a lot now, but we certainly didn't when we started.
It's been a lot of learning.
Yeah,
So, I mean, where the beans are roasted fairly locally, I understand.
So it's in a place called Wellington, so just south of Exeter, I believe.
Okay.
North of Exeter, south.
North of Exeter, right, okay. Yeah,
so
okay,
it's
not too far away.
It's our roast, but they contract roast it for us.
Yeah,
Okay.
so our beans get sent there. They'll
It's the
roast
cheapest option for us as well.
Yes, that makes, and I guess it's what gets the most amount of donations out to
Exactly,
charities.
yeah.
Fantastic, and I understand. I think, well, yes, in fact, you are joining us for the Eco Market on the 13th of May at the end of this month. So that's
Look forward to it.
good as well. Yeah,
Absolutely.
Can we have it more? Fabulous. Well, like I say, it's been really, really great having you come in. Thank you so much. And yeah, we'll send people down to Frontline Coffee,
Good.
grab a cuppa and have a chat.
That's what we like to hear.
Have a sausage roll, we've got some of the cakes and stuff.
Yeah.
Food, burgers,
Burgers, sausage rolls.
If we're trying to sell the place, we'll have to do it properly.
And there's fitness stuff in the works as well.
Yes, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and yoga. Not at the same time.
Not at the same time. Okay, that could be interesting.
That'd be amazing, actually. Yeah. Maybe we'll experiment, but yeah, we've got we're really excited new Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu studio that's opening up on where we are.
It's actually another firefighter that runs that as well.
Oh right, okay.
Yeah. And then we're in talks about finalising a yoga studio, so we're going to have all sorts of different yoga, from relaxing to your crazy yoga people that can stand on their fingers and do all sorts of stuff. So yeah, we've got some cool stuff coming out.
And is that going to be around where the coffee
So
shop
it's
is?
in Victoria Building next to it.
Oh right, okay. So yeah, perfect. So you can go do your yoga class and then come back.
Absolutely, yeah.
And an ice cream, obviously.
And an ice cream, yeah. And a burger. Yeah.
Amazing. And when's that open? Is that imminent?
17th of May for the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Oh, of course, I guess because the latest.
Hopefully around about the same time for the yoga.
Yeah.
Nice.
Depending on how quickly we can work, we'd like the yoga to start quite soon. I think everyone can do with a bit of yoga in their life at the minute. I think it's integral for everyone, for mental health, for relaxation, and also mobility and flexibility. You know, people can sat at their homes on their computers and or in front of Netflix. And it's
More Netflix.
More Netflix for us, yeah. So it's about, yeah. And also coffee yoga mornings.
Yeah,
were
coffee
also
yoga, yeah.
a big thing we wanted to do, and now it's coming.
We promised a lot of people that, so we need to yeah.
So yeah, come down, have a coffee, do a yoga session, have a chat, connect.
So we've got all sorts of things that are going to be happening down there. It's just getting to that stage at the moment.
Amazing. I mean, you guys, things seem to happen ever so quickly when you guys get an idea.
I know.
A lot of people tell us that.
It's nice just to get stuff done.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
It's fantastic, and if we can help here at all as well, then just let us know.
Thank you very much.
Very much behind all this. So there's 5 themes during the Mental Health Awareness Week. Dropping the Connect one in there today, I think that fits really well with you guys at the Frontline Coffee. And as part of each day as well, we've got a bit of a daily challenge which will be going out on our social media. So for the Connect Day, we are encouraging all of our boat folk and everybody else as well, all of our listeners, to get to know we'll call them pontoon neighbours here at the marina. So you've got your house neighbours, you've also got your boat neighbours. And if you've not spoken to your boat neighbours before, or not very often, then do drop round and offer them a cup of coffee maybe and have a chat and share some stories, because everybody has a story, and particularly boat folk, we all have some exciting stories where things have maybe gone really well or not quite so well. So that's your challenge for today, folks, is to have a chat to your boat folk neighbour, and or join Portland Yacht Club or your Marina Yacht Club, and again get to know some more people in the marina. That's it for us today. Thank you so much for coming in,
Thank you.
and we'll no doubt speak to you soon.
Absolutely. Thanks very much.